Hi and welcome to today's episode in which I turn these into something delicious. My mum's trying to cut out refined sugar. That got me thinking about what sweet treats I can make for her that would kind of substitute that sweet craving kind of thing. That got me thinking about sweet potatoes because they're naturally sweet. And then when I was scrolling on my YouTube research panel, it showed me that people are looking for chocolate chips at the moment. So I thought, oh, I could make a kind of chocolate chip something or other with sweet potatoes. And then settled on brownies. I've had a look online to see if it was possible, whether I could get something that wasn't going to be too stodgy and heavy. And I found a recipe on Minimalist Baker. I'll link to that in the description for you. And it's going to be full of pretty natural things as well, so it's practically health food. Don't tell your doctor I said that. So let's get stuck straight in. In my mixing bowl here, I've got a cup of sweet potato puree. It's about 255 grams. To make the puree, I just chopped down the sweet potato, put it in a dish in the microwave with a lid on. Did it for 5 minutes, stirred it 5 minutes, and then took the lid off, stirred it and did another 5 minutes just to dry them out a little bit, and then peeled the skin off and put them through the potato ricer. There's still a little bit of lumps in there. Really, they could do with getting out. But I'm tired. I'm not going to bother. So they're just going to be a little bit lumpy, which is fine. Rustic, that's what we'll call it. I've got the oven at 180, which is about 350 Fahrenheit. You might have to go higher or lower, depending, because mine's a fan oven. This doesn't specify whether it's a fan or not. So, in fact, I might go 170. Yeah, I'm going to go 170. And then I've lined a baking dish with some baking parchment. I think that's around 8 by 8 inches, something like that. Let's head over to the bowl and start mixing all the goodies together. To the sweet potato, I'm going to add 160 grams of maple syrup. That's about 2/3 of a cup. I've done 130 grams of peanut butter. Some of it's smooth, some of it's chunky, just because that's what I've got in the cupboards at the moment. Doing a teaspoon of vanilla extract, a tablespoon and a half of sunflower oil. You can use any kind of neutral oil you like. You could do coconut if you want. And then we'll give that a good stir to combine it. Mushing it down a little bit just to spread things out, and then I can start bringing it together. So that's fairly well combined. This is 50 grams of cocoa powder, half a cup. Cocoa powder is one of those things where it's worth spending the money on. The more you spend typically, the more intense the flavour it's got, so then you end up having to use less. 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Teaspoon of baking powder. This is going to give it some fluffiness. This one's my own addition. I'm going to do a teaspoon of espresso powder. This is an espresso strength instant coffee powder. Stir this together really well. And that's looking very brownie-like already. I'm adding 50 grams of chocolate chips and 50 grams of chopped pecans. Stir those in. The recipe says to put them on top. I don't want them on top, I want them inside. So I'm going to combine everything. 60 grams of gluten-free flour. This is just a plain white flour blend. That's 2/3 of a cup. Try and mix this in without flicking it everywhere. And we'll transfer the batter into the dish. I'm going to spread it in an even layer. A little tip for your baking parchment: if you scrunch it up into a ball and then unwind it, which makes it a bit easier to get in the pan, otherwise it can spring back out again. There we go. So it's mostly in an even layer, and that's looking great already. Pop this in the oven on the middle shelf, and the recipe says it needs to be in there 28 to 32 minutes. I like the precision there. Set my time for 28, and then I'll start sticking the skewer in the middle, and once it comes out mostly clean, that's when I'll take it out, let it cool down, and then we'll do some eating. Time to get stuck into these brownies. They look incredible. Firmed up real nice. It's been out of the oven for about an hour or so. It's a very dense, cakey kind of consistency, I think. Took the brownies out of the oven once they'd finished. 28 minutes did it, that was fine. The skewer came out clean. Put it on a little rack, and then once I could handle the paper, took it out of the dish and then just put it back on the rack. A little piece for now. Oh, looks great. A little bit fudgy, nice and rich. Have a try. That's delicious. It's not heavy, but it's very rich. Nice and moist. I know people hate that word, but you're just gonna have to deal with it. What am I gonna say? Slightly damp. The sweet potato gives it a nice bit of flavour, as well as the sweetness. It's a little bit almost like chestnuts, that kind of almost. Really nice round flavour to it. And it's not too sugary, which is exactly what I wanted. I reckon you could easily make that a blondie. So just cut the cocoa powder out. You might need to add in the same quantity more of gluten-free flour, because obviously the cocoa powder is going to add some dryness to the mixture, so you might need to compensate a little bit. You could put different nuts in there, you could put fruit in if that's your bag, if that's the kind of thing you like. If you've got a nut allergy or you're making it for someone who does have a nut allergy, have a look for tiger nuts. They're a tuber, but they taste like a cross between a coconut, a hazelnut and an almond, but they're not nuts. So that's a potential for you as well. Really tasty little things. Yeah, that's a fantastic little treat. I'll definitely be making more of those in the future. And I think you could easily, make little balls instead, and just bake those down so you've got little bites, that kind of thing. I want to give a massive shout out to my community over on Patreon. Love having you all on board. I'm going to put it to my patrons to vote for the video that I publish next week. So if you want in on some of that decisive action, I'll stick a link down to the Patreon in the description for you. Hit subscribe if you want more plant-based goodies delivered to you freshly each week. Turn on notifications if you want to be alerted as soon as they're ready. While you're down in that area, you might as well just tap the little like button, just boop, it's fine. And then if you can't wait for more content, have a look at this.